We've got pumpkins, folks. So excited. Alright, so today we've got another speed reviews video. This is where I try and do quick reviews of a bunch of different products that I've been testing that either might not make it into a Raves and Rejects video, or I mentioned in a previous video and I'm giving you updated thoughts on, or just random shit that I've been trying out. So I'll have my speed reviews playlist down below, and everything I'm talking about in today's video is also linked down below. If you enjoy this video while you're watching and find it helpful, you can give it a thumbs up, and if you're new here, you can subscribe if you want to see more speed reviews. Lots of things. I do vlogs. I'm actually in the process of moving right now, so lots of moving content coming. And my name is Taylor. I realized the other day as I was editing that I never actually introduced myself in my videos, because I feel like you can, you see my name down there, but if you are new here, hello. Okay, this speedy intro is turning into a not speedy intro. Let's get into it. All right, so I put on as many of the products as I could on my face today as I was getting ready, so you can see what they look like on. So first up, we have the Milani Peach Glass Skin Primer. I cannot stand the scent of this. It smells extremely peach scented, like the Too Faced Peach Perfect kind of line, but even more so, it's super heavily fragranced, but I friggin' love the product. It does give you that glass skin kind of look. It's actually very moisturizing too, so if you have dry skin and you like that glass skin look, you might really love this if you can overlook the scent. Two tinted moisturizers I've been trying. So both of these are new from the drugstore. The first is the Maybelline Fit Me Tinted Moisturizer. I have the shade 118. So I put this on before reading any reviews or anything. I just kind of bought it on a whim. I think I was at Walmart or something. But I did look up the reviews as soon as I applied it for the first time, because I put it on and it was so streaky. Took forever to blend, actually get it to blend out on my skin. And the product just sits on top of your skin. It's very odd. It almost looks okay once you really work it into your skin and blend it out, but you can just see this weird filmy kind of texture just sitting on top of your skin. And then I checked the reviews and saw that it has 2.6 stars on Ulta, so that seems to be kind of the consensus. It's light coverage, which I do like. It's not totally sheer, but I would say it feels more like a foundation. It has this kind of not heaviness to it, but it doesn't feel like a tinted moisturizer. It does feel more like a light coverage foundation. And the shade 118 is a little bit too dark for me, just for shade reference. And then the new Milani Glow Hydrating Skin Tint 110, similar kind of product. I actually found these to have pretty much the exact same amount of glow, which is interesting because this one's marketed as being super glowy. This one, they don't say anything about a glow. It just says natural finish. The Milani has sheer coverage. It does have less coverage than the Maybelline, but the exact same thing happens where it just kind of sits on top of my skin. This one is way easier to blend out, but comparing it to other similar products I have, I just don't think this is my favorite. I don't think it's horrible, but I don't think you need it in your life. A product that you're definitely going to be seeing in my next Raves and Rejects video is the M Cosmetics So Soft Contour in Terra. So this is a newer product release from them. And you guys, when I tell you the shade is literal perfection, if you have fair skin and everything pulls too warm on you, this is your answer to life. It's not gray, but it definitely just has a milky kind of chocolate undertone. I don't just use it as a contour, I use it as a bronzer. I'm wearing it right now. And I just friggin' love this thing for fair skin. It's very, very creamy, super easy to blend out. You don't need a lot of product. I would say it does have a glow. It's not too glowy, but it definitely isn't like a matte finish. I just friggin' love this thing. I love putting this on my face. It's what I've been wanting to reach for nonstop. I also love the blush shade that I got, which is Bitten. This though is very pigmented. Again, super creamy, so it is easy to blend out, but don't go putting this directly on your face or you'll have way too much blush on. You literally just need to tap your brush in one time and that's enough, but it is beautiful. It's more of a berry color, super pretty for winter. Another liquid blush, this one's from the drugstore. It's the NYX Sweet Cheeks in the shade Coralicious. So this is kind of one of those moussey feeling liquid blushes, but it actually blends out. Most of the mousse formulas I find just look super patchy or hard to blend. And this is one where it's almost like a hybrid between a liquid and a mousse, so it's not too drying. I have found though that you don't want to use your fingers with this thing. I've tried it with brush, fingers, and sponge, and brush is definitely the way to go. It's not like my all-time favorite liquid blush formula or shade, but I do think it's good and pretty easy to work with if you've been curious about it. Wow, I feel like that one was a true speed review right there. If you saw me trying this in a vlog, you already know my thoughts on this, but this is the Wet n Wild Primer Serum. I don't know why this has such good reviews. I feel like it's just a very average serum. I don't think it makes my skin look amazing underneath makeup or anything, but besides that, I just can't use this because the scent is so, oh my god. Oh, it's so bad. It smells like you melted 5,000 watermelon Sour Patch. I feel like I'm just putting candy on my face. I've actually been trying a lot of blushes and bronzers lately now that I'm looking at everything here. So e.l.f. launched putty bronzers, and I was immediately so excited when I saw the shade of specifically this one. I don't have the shade on the bottom of here, so I'll list the shade down below. Actually, let me compare it to M Cosmetics. e.l.f. has way more orange in it, and this one's definitely just more of like a brown, and I applied a lot, by the way. Let me blend it out a bit for you. Even though this one looks much more warm compared to the M Cosmetics, I don't find that it's too warm on my skin. I actually really like the color of this one. For me, I do like the putty bronzers better than the putty blushes. I do find it to be less patchy, but the only way I like to apply these is you really gotta like work your brush in there, get a lot of product, and then go in and blend it out. If you go in with too little product off the bat, it just like lifts up the foundation for me and does look patchy. So I just have to make sure I'm applying it in a certain way. I do like it better than the putty blush, but not an absolute favorite. Wow, this really has been the time of liquid bronzers for me. While we're swatching these, I'm gonna do these two new ones by Glossier. So Glossier recently launched their first liquid bronzers and I was stoked, so I ordered them right away. These are their Solar Paints Luminous Bronzer Cream. I have two shades here. The more warm one, darker one is Ray, and then there's Flare. When I saw the photos of Flare online, I was so excited to try this because again, it looked like it was just gonna be a really pretty tone. And this one's actually kind of in between these two. It pulls really warm when it's actually applied to my face. I don't know if it's just with like the undertone of my foundation or what, but it does look too warm for me. And then here's Ray. Ray is just like, it's very warm. Ray, I do like when I have self tanner on, it's definitely like a warm tone. These aren't my absolute favorite liquid bronzer formula. I find that they do pick up the foundation a little bit. They are very glowy, both of them. Not super looking like it on here, but when they're on your face, they do definitely have like a sheen to them. Definitely think you can pass on these. I do think there are better liquid bronzers out there. Next up, I have a new highlighter from Laura Mercier. It's the Rose Glow Highlighter. So this one is basically like a very intense light pink highlighter. I do think it's pretty if you like a really beaming highlight, but this one, if you have textured skin, isn't the best. You definitely can see it sitting on top of your skin. I still like it. I've worn this more light, just on like lighter makeup days, and it looks nice, or you can kind of go in with a heavy hand like I did today if you want that like really, you know, intense kind of glow. But I feel like even under this lighting, you can see that my texture right there is definitely kind of emphasized right now. So I wouldn't say it's like a super flattering looking highlighter, but it's not bad. Like I still like it. I think it's really pretty. Something I like to do if maybe I go like overboard on the powder highlighter after already putting on a liquid blush is then going in with a powder blush so I can actually go back in and kind of blend the blush into the highlight. So that's what I did today with the Pat McGrath Labs Divine Blush. The shade I have is Divine Rose. So let's just rewind for a second. I got this because it had super good reviews on Sephora. It's expensive. So I wanted to know if the price was worth it because I feel like with a blush, it's pretty easy to find an amazing drugstore blush. It's just one of those categories of makeup where it's like you really don't need to do high end, but sometimes there's unique shade, there's unique formula. Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk is what just came to mind. This is a high end blush. I do think it's worth it. There's just something different about the shade, the formula, everything. So I was kind of thinking that's what was gonna happen with old Pat here. First off, I got this in the mail from Sephora and I could not open this packaging. I literally spent about 20 minutes trying to open this freaking container. I think my packaging was just like stuck, jammed, something. It is still annoying packaging. You have to like, I mean, look, you have to really press down on that thing to get it to open. But the actual blush itself, I mean, right now I have it layered on top of the liquid blush, and this is actually my favorite way I've worn it so far. I actually really like my blush combo today, and I haven't done that before, like layered those two. But when this is on its own, it looks very average to me, and the shade I don't think is my favorite. It reminds me of like as a kid, if you're like going through your mom's makeup or your grandma's makeup, you know how there's just that like classic pink shade that's like not that flattering. That's just kind of what this reminds me of. I'm gonna test them side by side potentially for another video, but I feel like there's an Essence blush dupe here. I've been testing a bunch of different brow waxes, brow pomades to just get that really lifted kind of look. And the best one I found so far is the Anastasia Brow Freeze. This stuff is no joke. I love this because you don't have to wet a spoolie. Some of the other ones are like hard waxes where you have to wet first to get it to kind of loosen up, and then you go in and you brush up your brows. I don't have this in right now. I'm going to be talking about a couple other brow products, but this is great if you want super lifted brows, if you like the like feathery brow look. Or if you just have really naturally full brows, but you want to like keep them in place, this makes your brows stay in place all day. This is the most long-lasting hold brow product I've probably ever found. It's just clear, so you can either go in with this first and then use another brow product like a pencil or another gel afterwards, or you can use it as like the final step where if you just want to kind of lift your hairs up at the end. So Shiseido launched these new single eyeshadows. What's super cool about these is that the packaging, oh my God, having issues there for a minute. The packaging is magnetic. So if you have a few different shades of these, this would be really handy like throwing into your makeup bag because they just kind of are all, you know, staying together nice and thin. Look at this. My favorite shade that I tried is 02 Horo Horo Silk. This shade, if you like a cool tone metallic, so beautiful. I like that this isn't pure taupe. There's like a little bit of a light pink kind of reflect to it, so it almost looks like a little bit rose goldy taupe. It's super pretty. That's not even doing it justice, but I just feel like it's a pretty unique shade. So 2 brow products that I wore today, Cosis Air Brow. So I initially tried this on camera in my Sephora try-on haul video, and it has slightly grown on me. I think I just really like the undertone of this one. It's just a nice tone of brown. If you have like greenish eyes, it just kind of makes them pop a bit. I don't love the formula of this brow gel. It's not my favorite. I find that this has like very minimal hold. So if you're looking for a brow gel that's really gonna hold your brows in place, that's not this. I do think it's more of like a flexible kind of hold, and this really fills them in. So if you like to see your individual hairs, I don't think you'd like this. It's more of like a soft filled in kind of look. I had major brow issues today. The brows went downhill real fast because I tried to use this pencil again. It's the Too Faced Super Fine Brow Detailer Ultra Slim Brow Pencil. It's not ultra slim at all. It has this kind of like oval tip. You can't get the like brow hair kind of look with this, but the other times I've tried this, I have actually enjoyed this for just like very quick shaping. It's not the normal kind of brow pencil formula that I like. This is very creamy. I usually like more of like a stiff one. So if you like a more creamy brow formula, you might really like this pencil. There's a spoolie on one end, but oh, there goes the cap. It's good. It's not great. The other times I've worn it, I have liked it better than my brow catastrophe today. This liquid blush has been around for a long time now. It's the Covergirl Clean Fresh 330 Sweet Innocence. Let me wipe off my 5 million bronzers for a minute. So this definitely has a learning curve because it is the most shimmery blush, liquid blush, anything that I've ever found. It's basically like I would call it like a pink highlighter, honestly. If you have a deeper skin tone, this might look really pretty almost as a highlighter because it pretty much is like a straight up highlight. It is so metallic. I actually don't mind it. It's very intense. This is, like I said, the glowiest blush I've ever found. I don't mind it in very small amounts. Like if I'm putting it on top of a more matte liquid blush and then just adding like a little bit of this below where I would normally apply a highlighter, this would just be a nightmare if you put it on and were thinking one thing and got just like a straight up shimmery pink cheek. So all the eyeshadow I have on right now is from this Amazon palette that I tested in a video. It was Amazon's top rated makeup. I think it's been a couple months now since testing this, and I want to say this palette is around $10, $12. It's very affordable, and I am a little bit blown away by this palette. When I first tried it in that video, I really liked it. And since then, it's been one of my most reached for eyeshadow palettes because every time I use this, I just love how pigmented my shadow looks and it just blends out really easy. The mattes in here are so insane. The mattes in here honestly remind me of Anastasia Beverly Hills palettes. They're so beautifully pigmented and just like the tone of them. But then the shimmery shades are also so beautiful. For around $10 on Amazon, I think this thing is great. And I understand why it's one of the top rated makeup products on there. By the way, before I forget, the lashes I have on right now might be a new favorite, folks. They're the Ardell Faux Mink 810 Confident ones right here. I mean, they're right here. I don't know if you can only buy them in this trio thing. Hopefully you can just buy this pair on their own, but they remind me of a pair of Pure Cosmetics lashes that I used to always wear, and I'm really liking them. More cream bronzers. I also think that brands right now are just releasing a ton of cream bronzers because that's what a lot of people are into right now. But Jouer came out with these Bloom Bronze and Glow sticks. So basically one side is a bronzer, one side is a highlighter. The better of the two shade-wise for me is Sunset. First I'll do the two bronzers next to each other. Here's Sunrise, which actually looks lighter but is so warm. I'm like, why do brands have to do this? I feel like every light shade of bronzer just is made straight up orange. So here's Skinny Dip, which is the shade that comes with Sunset. It's like a gold. And then here's Rose Quartz, like a pinkier highlight that comes with Sunrise. These bronzers, though, I find to be very difficult to blend on top of foundation. Because it has issues blending on top of foundation, I would say probably not worth the money. So next is the Daniel Sandler Watercolor Liquid Cheat Color. So if you saw my Look Fantastic video, which is hopefully already up by the time this video is going up, I actually filmed that at the end of August. So I've had, a bit to test this now. I tried this in that video. I said I'd update you. This is a really interesting product. I don't have any other liquid bronzers like this. This was very well reviewed. I think it's also won some awards. So it's basically what it sounds like. A watercolor bronzer. That's like exactly how I would describe it, because it goes on super liquidy, but then as you blend it in, it does really set down, and I like that it's just on there. Like, it just feels locked in place and it almost turns a bit matte. So I don't have anything like that. Typically, products like this end up being more dewy, but when you blend it out, it does get fully matte, and it has this very soft, like silky feel until it dries down. Looking at the shade, like here and in the bottle, it looks, clearly too intense for my skin tone, like too orange. I think if you were a couple shades deeper than me, this would probably be such a pretty tone. For me, it is a little bit too warm, but I have found that I can still use it if I apply a very small amount. So on this hand, I'll do like half the amount that I just put on the other hand. And if you apply less, it still doesn't pick up my foundation, but I can get kind of a more workable shade for my skin tone. It is still warm. A couple more updates from products I tested in that video. The Berry M Liquid Chrome Highlighter Drops. These things are unreal. In that video, I used it as an inner corner highlight, which I love these as an inner corner highlighter. It's a perfect shade. It gives you such an intense pop, but also on the face, whoa man, if you want like a blinding wet look, super metallic highlighter, friggin' look at this thing. It's probably the most reflective liquid highlighter I've found so far. The only thing with this formula for your face is that it dries down very quickly. So you want to make sure you're going in right away. I like to blend it out with my finger, and you need to work super quickly, blend it in, or else it's going to dry in that like line kind of situation. But it's kind of like a 3-in-1 because you can use it for your inner corner. I haven't tried it as like all over eyeshadow yet, but that'd probably be super pretty. And then you can also use it as a body highlight and just like mix it in with some lotion. So I really like this. It's also very affordable. And then I'll do the last product update from that video. It's the Wander Beauty Wondrous Off-Duty palette that I tried in that video, and I've been really enjoying this. There's something about these eyeshadows, they just have a very pretty sheen to them. This shade is the only shade that I don't find myself reaching for and really wanting to use, but all the other ones are super pretty. I find that they're not too metallic for just everyday wear. I mean, if you want to wear, full metallic, go for it. But if you want like a little bit of a shimmer but not overboard, this is a really nice everyday kind of palette. So here are all the shades in that palette swatched. They're all extremely soft and have this like kind of not moist, but they don't feel dry at all. I was really hoping this was going to be a dupe for the Lancome or the MAC Lash Primer. This is the Essence Volume Booster Lash Primer. So if you haven't heard of these, they're just like white kind of products that you put on underneath your mascara. Some of them really do make a difference. In my full face of samples video, I tried the Lancome Sills XL Booster, and I've had that in my travel makeup bag, so I use that every day in New York, and I do feel like I noticed a difference with that primer versus not. And this one, I just don't notice any difference with. I think you can for sure pass on this. I love a lot of Essence mascaras, but this one I just don't think you need. So this is a new concealer from Lancome. It's their Tint Idol Ultra Wear All Over Concealer. And I've seen either really amazing things or really bad things about this concealer. I think it's just one of those products that it just depends on your skin, how it's going to work for you. You'll be either one or the other probably. I actually tested this during a Foundation Friday, and you can see how it wore off throughout the day. This just looks super dry. It creases really badly on me, and I almost like lose coverage throughout the day. However, I've noticed if I put this on when I don't have any other makeup on, like no foundation, it does look better. I don't think it looks great, but it does apply and wear differently if I am only wearing concealer than if I have like a full face of makeup on. But the thing I really despise about this, and I feel like even if I loved the formula of this would just friggin' piss me off every time I use this, so I want to point it out. It is that kind of packaging where the doe foot is bigger than the opening of the bottle. So every time you pull it out, it just squirts concealer everywhere and is super messy, and you kind of have to like do it slow and methodically. and angle it super weird so it doesn't do that. Just like bend it so it doesn't go all over the place. If you just pull it out, it gets stuck in there and then concealer goes everywhere. But I have been retesting the Lancome Tinted Adult Ultra Wear Foundation. This is not included in this video. I just wanted to let you know because I'm wearing it right now. And in the past, this was one of my least favorite foundations. I don't know if they reformulated this or if it's just working better for my skin now after Accutane, having a different skin type. It used to look horrible and just like chalky on me. I've tried it a few times so far and it hasn't been looking terrible. I need to see how it wears for like a full day, but it definitely doesn't look as bad on my skin now as it did in the past. But today I'm wearing this and it's a little bit too dark. I have the shade 140, so I put on a little bit of my Covergirl 200 Fair Ivory, the Simply Ageless, over top just to kind of lighten things up. And I also wanted to show you applying this because you can see the Milani Glass Skin Primer coming through underneath, which is one of the things I love about that primer. This foundation is pretty matte, so you can see when I'm applying this, you can still see that glow coming through. The Covergirl foundation that I put over top is glowy, so right now I have more glow than just the Milani primer, but you can see when I initially apply it. Another concealer that really didn't work out for me, the Wet n Wild Incognito Concealer. This I think was getting pretty good reviews, but it looks worse than the Lancome on my under eyes, and I just don't get the coverage. It says it's all day full coverage. I don't find it to be full coverage at all. Hard to blend out. It just looks kind of patchy and it doesn't give me the coverage that I want from something that's claiming to be full coverage. So this one is a no. I was very excited to try the Colourpop brow pen. It's the Feather Effect brow pen. I have the shade medium brown because when I took the cap off this thing, you can see how microscopically tiny this brow pen is. My all-time favorite brow pen now is the Milani Weekend Brow. I'll show you the tips compared. The Milani Weekend Brow is a tiny tip, okay? Compared to other brow pens, the Milani is very tiny. You can see just how microscopic the Colourpop is, but I have found that it doesn't matter how tiny the pen part is if the product doesn't dispense out the tip, because ultimately what happens with this is it doesn't actually come out of the very tip of the pen, so you end up having to kind of press it sideways and then you just get a fatter line. So even though it looks super tiny, I find that I can actually get a thinner line with the Milani one, and it just is one of those formulas too that doesn't go over other products well. Like you have to really, I'm actually giving a lot of pressure right now, you have to like really press down. So it doesn't apply well over other products, and that's usually how I like to use brow pens, and it just ends up being a little bit too fat of a line even though it looks very tiny. I have the whole line of these, but I wanted to specifically mention this color because it is so beautiful. This is the Colourpop Fresh Kiss in the shade 411. These are their new lip creams, and the formula of these, they're fine. They kind of remind me of the NYX Suede matte lips, which Suede kind of lip formulas are my favorite because I just feel like they're a little bit slippery, but the color of this is like a perfect pinky nude, where it is a nude, but it has more pink in there than anything else. Let me see if I can layer some on top of here. It is so pretty. I guess I should have shown you the other two lip products I have on before I just put that on. We'll do that next. I wanted to mention the lip combo I have on right now because I feel like it's such a good, just cool toned fall lip. It's the new Colourpop Lippie Pencil in Cool BFF. If you're looking for a cool tone liner, which can actually be hard to find, this is a true cool toned nude. And then I have it layered with the Charlotte Tilbury Cover Star. I want to say this is a newer shade from them, but it's definitely my favorite Charlotte Tilbury shade so far because it's light enough. But this one, as you can see, is a good combo. And the formula of these lipsticks are so nice if you've never tried them. They're like a very comfortable matte. All right, we're coming down to the bottom here. We've got the Say Poppy Dew Blush. So the shade is Poppy, and the applicator on this thing is pretty large and in charge. And again, it is kind of annoying, like the Lancome, you have to go slow or else it's gonna go all over. And I do find that a lot kind of gets on the outside of here, so I feel like the packaging could be a little bit better, but I love the formula and the shade of this. I don't have a shade like this. I don't want to say neon, but it has this brightness to it that is very unique. It's like a bright coral. And I love the formula of this because it's easy to blend out. Again, it's super pigmented, but it does dry down. So if you don't want your liquid blush to be like sliding around, this one does dry down even though it has a glow to it. But I've been reaching for this one a ton. I find the shade to be super flattering, and every time I go in with this, I just like applying it. I like the formula, and for some reason, I feel like it adds a little bit of coverage to my face, which I also like. And then last product I'm going to talk about is the Makeup Forever Aqua Resist Brow Fixer. Pretty sure this is new from them. So this is a brow gel but it is friggin' pigmented. Oh my god. I love when brands do these tiny ones for brow products because we don't need a big giant thing. Brows are tiny, but it is too pigmented for me. It just like completely Sharpies out your brow kind of, and it's hard to get less product on here. Like even if you wipe it off, I still find it to be extremely pigmented, but this is very waterproof. I actually got it out of the shower and my brows were still on after using an oil makeup remover, so I actually had to go back in the shower and use the oil makeup remover again. I'm like out of breath. That was a lot of talking and a lot of products we had there. I'm like everything I talked about today down below in the description box. I will leave more speed reviews down below. I feel like speed reviews and empties are super useful videos if you're just into learning about a lot of different products at one time. So I'll leave a couple of those videos down below in the description box. But I love you guys. Thanks for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.